Okay, off we go. So before I get out of the way, Li Chen usually does group talks with starting out here and working his way in. So we get to see the bigger picture of what's going on, how that is working, and how it's affecting us in our communities and our individual lives. So watch, he'll do something entirely different because I just explained that. But in any case, off we go. And you all know him, so. And he will open it to Q&A too, so please ask questions. Li Chen is a spirit guide who is an ascended master, meaning that he's graduated, he doesn't have to be here anymore. And so he's serving us in this time from his view. So this is our view, and this is his view. So we get a different perspective. And he uses my body to speak to you. So you will hear his voice coming out of my mouth. And he's got a very different personality, which will be obvious. So just when you stop asking questions, the evening is over. And Jana, you be the timekeeper, because at 8:30, we have to stop. Yeah, okay. So I'll see you guys later. We got to blend the energy. Take a breath. Okay, I'm calling in all your guides. The room is filling up. This is good. Yes, well, wishing to welcome you, we are Li Chen. We are concerned that you may not be able to hear us. Are we loud enough for everyone? Yes. Very good. We are honored to be here speaking with you in this evening on this very important topic of women rising. This topic is also running hand in hand with what you are perceiving as climate change, which in fact is truly more of pole shift. So we will speak to climate change and pole shift, and then we will look at how this is affecting your world, and then we will look at where the need for women comes in so strongly. So climate change is a direct result of your industrial revolution, to put this bluntly. As you see, that there is no government on your planet currently willing to do what needs to be done to correct this. So in other words, you stand on the threshold of extinction. This will not occur because there are too many forces here assisting you. But nevertheless, your days are dire, and the work is great that must come forward. So for those of you, men and women and children alike, who are feeling called to serve this time of tremendous need, we honor you, we are grateful for you, because without you, nothing occurs. For you are the ones in body. All we can do is hopefully inspire you, certainly educate you, and show you what we see. Climate change will continue to increase as these glaciers are melting, and what you can do directly and powerfully to address climate change is plant trees. We are not speaking about a new tree in your backyard. We are speaking of trillions of trees planted around the world, and this will save your planet. This will also eradicate and correct climate change. Take heart and plant trees. There are two women that we are aware of who have made it their life mission. One African lady, her challenge to herself is to plant 1 trillion trees in her lifetime. She is a very good organizer, and she is working with her peoples in her country in Africa to do this. And it is spreading to other countries in Africa. So she has created a movement. There is another woman in India doing the same thing. Somewhat easier for her, for there are already a great many trees in India and much more water. So this helps. But no reason to wait on India and Africa to heal the world. It needs all hands on deck time. The reason being that currently, and the most important thing for you to understand is that you are poised to go into pole shift. This could occur in 5 minutes or 5 years. No one can predict when. For as you have free will, and God cannot even know what you will choose to do tomorrow, so too does the earth have a personality, a will, a soul, and self-determination. So part of what the earth is doing during pole shift and also during climate change is trying to throw off, shrug off these toxins on top of her that are affecting her and life on her. So what pole shift is, this occurs randomly and infrequently, but rather regularly. This is where the North and South Pole, which are always wiggling a little bit, but during pole shift, the poles start to move in one direction. And the farther they move, the more quickly they move, until they get to the tipping point and flip. You will not know this, you will not feel this. This does not end life on Earth by any means. But what it does do is thins the magnetic field, and there will be holes in it in some cases. This and this alone will create a number of cancers, a lot of them. Wear sunscreen now, for the magnetic field is already quite thin. Do not go outside without it. Save yourself the grief. But even more important, what pole shift does is exacerbate what you are looking at as climate change. Your storm of Helene, this had more to do with pole shift than climate change. These rogue storms, very large, moving in random directions, make no sense, cannot be second-guessed. You will see the greatest activity around the equator of your Earth, and there will be loss of life. This will be tragic. Lots of Earth disruption, tremendous storms around the equator and at both poles. Where you are in these more temperate zones, both northern and southern hemisphere, this is where life is easiest. What you will see in your country, in your United States, is that the southern area of Florida and the southern states will become much more tropical and much more uncomfortable. So the more moderate weather is up here. Already you are seeing in your area, where is your winter? Last year, where is your cold weather now? You will have your winters, but they will be quite different and already are starting to become much milder. One of the problematic things that you will be dealing with is crop shortage. For you in this country, this will be, oh dear, no broccoli at the market. We must use cauliflower instead. So you will have choices. You will not starve, not here. But already you have seen mass migrations. This is as much starvation as it is war, for certainly war can create that as well. You are seeing these recent weather patterns in Europe with these great floods that are destroying crops right and left. So grow your garden. Grow your garden. And if you do not have a plot then start one in your community. Start as many community gardens as you can. You will need these. Perhaps not this coming year, but in years to come. And this will give you the opportunity to become expert gardeners, where you will figure out all the tricks and ways to grow your tomatoes in the winter as well. And this might seem lightweight. We can assure you it is not. So as women coming to heal the world, there needs to be help. For certainly the European cultures in this country have long since divorced from the old ways. And it is the old ways that sustain life. Your technology does not understand when to plant tomatoes or when to harvest them. When your magnetic field is erasing your communications for 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, it will occur. For how long we cannot say, for we do not see. But they will be disrupted. So imagine, you will not know what the rest of the world is doing. Better have community in place. And this is why women come in. But before we talk about women and how magnificent you all are, we wish to speak to the trials and the challenges of men. For men, let us just look at the last 2,000 years on your planet. This has been patriarchal. The last matriarchal society of any size was in your early British days, where all these tribes were largely matriarchal. So since Julius Caesar has ended that little situation, the world has been run by men. And so sorry, but the job has not been so good. As you see, for you stand on the threshold looking at your own extinction somewhere down the road if you do not take action. Your governments will not address climate change, for there are no votes for them. There is no money for them. Do not look to them to make change. There is no government in the world that will make the kind of change necessary to save your planet. So it is on you. And take the job seriously, for, dear ones, this is why you are here. Regardless of all else you are doing, you are needed. You have reincarnated here in this body at this time to make sure that the world goes forward in a joyful way. How do you do this when there is so much, all these dire situations coming at you all at once, and you have this new president who is promising to end everything and making some people feel safe and other people feel horrified? So you have this situation too, although this has nothing to do with women rising, except in how it motivates you to fight back. So we are joyful to see this, particularly with the younger generations. But again, we will back up now and speak about the damage that men have accrued over millennia, of always having to be the leaders, always having to show the example, always having to be tough, always needing to be the provider, always needing to have the answers. This is a cruelty that many of these men have taken on their own because they were greedy for power. And this kind of greed is not, we can assure you, relegated only to men. There are plenty of women who wish to dominate and control as well. So you will need to awaken your greater discernment to figure this out. So men need to be encouraged to listen. Men need to be encouraged to shut up and listen. Men need to be encouraged to go deep and listen to their own hearts, their own desires, their own wandering imaginings of what their life could look like if it could be anything at all. Women need to do this too. But we need to heal the men. For until the men are healed, they will not find their way. There will be bitterness, there will be resentment. We are not saying all men, of course not. For many men know who they are. Many men lead with gentleness and kindness. But the focus needs to be certainly on love, because if you go forward without love, you will not get far. You will be isolated and alone very quickly. For this is a time where the only way you can go forward is together. Women need to isolate. You have been shut up, shut out, shut down for too long. So you need to get together in your circles here. There is a wonderful circle we have been made aware of here in this very town of Nyack, where women can come and speak their piece and get their help and find their support. This is what you need to do. So wherever you live, find the women that you love, get together, get serious. What is it you want to do? Perhaps your community is young women with small children. Perhaps what you need to do is to gather together and start a program of free childcare for the town. If your town is small enough, you can do this. This is an example. So you need to do the same thing with gardening. And there can be many groups. There can be one group doing many things. This is up to you. But start small. For when it gets into the thousands, this becomes unruly, and this is not governable, and it should not be governable. This is women doing what you do in the way that you do it. But the problem here is, for so many of you, you do not know where to begin. You do not have a vision. You do not have an image. You do not have a plan. You do not have a program. So how to begin and how to go forward? You need to look at the most reviled communities in your culture. So Native American, African American. Native Americans did not make good slaves, so they were killed and shoved off. The benefit to this has been immense. We will get to this in a moment. Your African peoples, same thing. They were first used badly before they were discarded, and when slavery has ended, they have been shoved away, not even acknowledging their humanity, much less their service, their intelligence, their creativity, and their inner beauty. So, what these two groups have done in their isolation and in their expulsion from this European society is they have maintained their culture. What else would they do? These are their ways. So their cultures have remained intact because they have been forgotten and disallowed, as it were. Particularly African American culture, where these people live amongst you, have been forced out to the edges and the margins, and still have made some of the greatest contributions to American society. This is undeniable. So what you do, if you are not African American, if you are not connected to Native American or indigenous people from anywhere, if you are not having access to these groups, you humbly go to them. We say humbly. It is most necessary to be humble, for they have knowledge that will save the world. And you need and want to learn what this knowledge is. And you would take this knowledge and you will apply it in your world. Or you would change it to fit your world in perhaps an easier way or a more facile way or a way that can be more portable somehow. So in these ways you can gather together, you can create your circles or pods or whatever you wish to call these. And as long as you stay small, this is manageable, and this is how you go forward. As far as what kind of structure these circles will have, this is entirely up to you. Some of you feel more comfortable with structure. Others of you are more anarchistic. So according to the personality of your group, you will invent ways of governing yourselves. And these ways of governing will be adopted by other groups that match your sort of personality. And the knowledge that you have will be shared with others, and so on. So as your groups form and become solid, and the reason they need to stay small, and the reason you need to not allow men in initially, is so that you can remember who you are, so that you can begin to dream, so that you can imagine what you want. Very important for you women who are so used to serving everyone else's needs. When you are able to have silence and support, confirmation and validation, this builds confidence. And without confidence, you will not be able to hear the whispers that are quietly but urgently directing you to go this way and that way, so that you can offer the greatest benefit of your magnificent potential. So this is what we are looking at. When you look at these men, particularly, there are women warriors as well, but this group of men who come back so damaged, and all they think to do is to continue to do that. So they join police force or go back to the military or something where their adrenaline is always operating. And this needs to be healed. They need to be pulled down into calmness. And this cannot be done until the trauma is healed. So rather than healing the trauma, they are coming back from war and continuing to traumatize themselves, as is society around them, for they are in no way ready to rejoin the world. We are looking at an arc here that started some 50 years ago, for Roe v. Wade freed women to design their own lives. In other cultures throughout time, women managed to do this just fine on their own. But in these dogmatic societies of European invention, it becomes problematic. And do understand that women are the ones on the chopping block at this time. Certainly your immigrants will be vilely treated and sent away and harmed, and a number of them killed. But do understand that this is a time where women will be required or expected to provide children. Part of this is this very bizarre idea, fantasy, that the United States must remain white, dominant. And this is quickly coming to an end. So there is this anxiety on the part of these people who now are dominant in your culture. The best way to counteract them is to simply get to work doing what you do. There will be those of you who want to start an underground railway, to get transgendered people to safe places, to get pregnant women who need abortion to safe states. And this is for those of you brave women who like a little bit of adrenaline, who like the cloak and dagger. Marvelous. There is a personality for every row. Is this not magnificent? So some of you will be in prayer. Some of you will be in the front lines. Some of you will meditate on world peace. Some of you will be planting gardens or gathering doggies or whatever it is you do. And it is all important and it is all magnificent. So we are asking you to continue to do what you do, but do it in a more conscious way, with a more conscious effort, with the goal of a greater result than you would otherwise be able to achieve on your own. And as we started to say, yes, this movement began approximately 50 years ago. And in this 50 years, you women have been very busy. Women are in political office. Women are in leadership roles. And it continues to grow and grow. And this is very good. But women are still diminished. Women still do not have equal rights, as you well know. Women still have a long ways to go before you are not only equal in a society, but you are in charge of the society, as you should be, because you are the life givers. You are the life bringers, and as such, you are hardwired to be protective. Again, we are not saying that men are not protective. They are, but in a different way. Women have the softness, the gentleness, that, and by design, working with these small, tender young ones. Women tend to operate more from love and are not afraid to say that. And use this word every day, for it is only love that will heal your world. And the calls to action that love will whisper or shout or call in your ear, in your mind. You know what you want to do. This is how you follow your path, is you are seized by passion, by desire to do this or that thing, and nothing will get in your way. Sometimes you find your purpose in life by having no idea and simply falling into this as though on your own, though of course none of you are ever alone. You are all guided and protected by those in spirit who attend you, even in this moment, for they are here and we welcome them all. They are participating in, this is also a time of great awakening, but of a different sort than we have spoken of in the past. This is an awakening of recognizing that the earth is very ill and needs healing, that the earth requires love as much as you each do. And there are many people working to this end, but generally speaking, they are working without recognition or even knowledge by the general public. So this it would be another idea, a group of women who write about these magnificent inventions that are coming to the fore. They are everywhere, as your technology mushrooms. So as there is dire need, there is also profound possibility on your planet. It is very important that the animals are saved, for their role is not understood by human, but it is a very important role. And there were animals on this planet paving the way for human long before people began to show up. And there will be animal on this planet long after mankind has found other places to go. They do their work instinctively, intuitively, naturally, and normally. Watch them, for they will teach you the way to be. So this old adage of many indigenous people of we are all related is absolutely true. This is true in a very literal way. Not that the squirrel in your yard is your cousin, but rather you each have an important role to play, and you are all connected in how you play that role and the fact that you are playing them. And animals depend on humanity without understanding, and humanity depends on the animals. And we are not speaking of food, we are speaking of their behaviors and how they live that are so beneficial for the planet, even in their unconscious ways. And yet here you have humanity who is both consciously and unconsciously greedily destroying all the sustenance that this planet so freely and lovingly and generously offers. So this is another area that needs to stop. Machiavelli wrote a brilliant treatise on the nature of power. And he went around teaching this little workshop to the powerful but petty kings in this area of Italy that was not a country, it was city-states. So 500 years ago, this fellow goes around talking to all the kings, look, fellow, here is what power is, here is how you gain it, here is how you keep it, and most importantly, here is how you lose it, so pay attention. So it would behoove you to understand the nature of power, and certainly to understand that power never, ever willingly steps off the throne. So what are you going to do about this? The way you do this without causing war is you make yourself so powerful in your towns and villages that by the time you stand up to speak, there are already millions of you, and you will have already won the battle that never needs to be fought. So this is how it is done in this day. And communication obviously is of essential importance. Again, this is why the need to create circles, pods, whatever you call them, little communities of women who link. And then you have a chain all over the country. The most dynamic people who understand this and understand how to organize are these young women of all stripes, all backgrounds. They are powerful, they are dynamic, they know how to organize. So these social issues are of essential importance. You go to them, you ask them what they need, and you serve them. And you ask them how they can serve you in your own growth and awareness. What do they need, and then what do you need? You need knowledge. What do they need? They need support. And they will give you knowledge, and you will give them support. And then you have already created a new community of sisterhood. Women are much more open than men, and certainly to each other. The reason that it is important that initially, when you begin to gather together and you begin to think about how you will heal the world and reshape it in a kind of more loving image, the way that you do this is you simply ask, what do you need? And what do you need? And how can we serve each other? And what do we see as the greatest issue? The answer to this one, we will tell you, is climate change. Regardless of how you feel about it, we are telling you this is the most #1 dire issue on your planet. And the rest, of course, is human suffering. So how do you end this? And again, you do this in small ways. It is important that you women not let men into your group too quickly. The first step is to remember who you are. Then you reimagine who you want to be, and then you become that. And the way you become that is by taking a first tentative step, looking around. I'm taking a step in the direction I want to go. Look, I'm still alive. No one is stopping me. I've not gotten a ticket. Very good. I am ready for a second step. And so on, until you know that the ground beneath you is solid, that you can take a step, it will hold your weight, and that you have sisters on either of your shoulders, and so on. So this is what we see. This is the image we see. We see you doing this. The arc is perhaps from beginning to end 100 years. You will not see this in your lifetime. But be proud that you are the ancestor of women who would change the world. It is possible, and it will occur. So keep men out until you are strong. Make sure that, that you learn how to govern as women, whether regardless of what type of governing structure you choose to adopt. There will be problems with women just as there are with men and women. So you need to learn how to handle the egos that want to control, that want to manipulate, that want to be in charge. How do you do this? Sometimes there will be someone who absolutely must be cut out because they are disruptive. They are not sharing the vision. They are having their own agenda. And when you lead with love, this is easy to see where there is not love. So you need not be psychic. Do not worry. Lead with love. Be sincere. Be respectful. Particularly for those of you who are of European heritage. The arrogance here is not even recognized. And it is not mean-spirited by any means. We are speaking of those of you who are here to serve this time and who hunger to serve this time. But we are speaking of a culture of arrogance where it is unspoken, but as you look around in your country, you know very well that those of European heritage already have open doors where others do not. So you can raise up your sisters and brothers of other cultures, particularly in this time where they will be hunted. Hunted, can you imagine? So, and again, Underground Railroad, you keep these people safe. There will be those of you who will have safe houses for people. They will need this. We do not see civil war. We do not see massive groups being displaced or all this drama. It is enough drama to have what you have. And in the days to come, you will be very glad that you are forming little societies, little communities that you can depend and rely on. For we can assure you that you will not be able to depend on your government. Your government has no interest in you or your lives or your struggles. The truth is it never has. So this is not unique, nor is this new. This idea that government will fix things, that government will care for you, how marvelous that this illusion is crushed, for it was only ever an illusion. And what you are looking at now, you understand you are on your own. Finally, you are free. Finally, you are free. You are on your own. And you only tolerate what you are being told to do if you feel like it. Or the truth is, if you feel safe standing up for what you need to stand up for. And you will not feel safe if you are alone. Nor should anyone feel alone. There is a massive outreach now for women to reach out to women, for women to comfort women, for women to train women. And be aware of these, for they are doing magnificent work. They have the technology, they have the background, they have the training, they are achieving. So no need to reinvent the wheel. Look around. Think about, number one, who you are. What is it you like to do? Where do you fit? Do you like to make things? Do you like to garden? Do you like to dance? Do you like to fight? Do you like to whatever it is you love doing? There is need for you now to teach others. Share with your friends, teach workshops, do whatever you need to do to disseminate this information, all of the information you need. Put out the call, help. We need to learn how you build community in a small town. How do you get community garden together? How do you get free daycare for everyone? What can you do for these single mothers living in dire poverty? They are in poverty because they are parents. They are in poverty because they do not have the wherewithal to get a high-paying job. So you live in a society that does not support children. Change this. Children are not being served properly either. It is important for children by the time of 2.5 or 3 to be with other children so that they can start dialoguing amongst themselves, engaging their energies, learning what this feels like. This is of essential importance to them at this age. And ideally, with all cultures. So you can see that there is no area of life that cannot be improved by women learning, becoming confident, taking action, and coming together. We are particularly concerned that the ancient voices of wisdom that know better, far better than any of you do, how to live on earth in a way that does not damage, in a way that does not disrespect, in a way that honors and expresses gratitude, which is such an important aspect here. Are you ready to have dialogue? Or shall we keep going? Just speak out.
Keep going a little bit.
But you must speak up, for we cannot hear you.
I said keep going a little bit.
Can somebody up close translate here for us?
Please keep going.
Oh, please keep going. Very good. So another way to look at this is to look at what are the greatest needs now. What are going to be the most immediate needs? Food. But even before food, we are extremely concerned for transgendered people and women who get pregnant in the wrong places. So this needs immediate addressing. We do not know where the next storms will hit. This cannot be foretold. You are living in a volatile time. If you can grow indoors, this is ideal, for you could be having a perfectly balmy winter and then all of a sudden snows come. The weather cannot be depended upon to reliably grow crops going forward. And as we have said, you do not need to worry about starvation. But now that you know, you can prepare. And this is the main thing. There are these ideas that knowledge should not be shared, rather it should be shut down. And this is, look, let us speak to how these fear-based people have gained power in your society. This started about 40, 45 years ago with these people with their Bibles, these right-winged people who want everyone to live the way they live and be humorless and strict. This is not the way forward. But nevertheless, they have begun in those days to get jobs as librarians, job on school board, job in all these small places that are easy to get into that arrange social life. This is how book bans begin. This is how prayer is forced on people in schools. This is how you get the society you have today. And we can tell you truly that many, many, many of these people are simply people in fear. They are not as hateful as you believe. They are only in fear. They have, what is this expression? You have drunk the Kool-Aid? Yes. They believe that if this fellow did not win, then, oh, democracy is gone. When, of course, the opposite is true. And you all know this. You all have clear eyes. So now that you know what is awaiting in your future, then you can prepare. And this is the only way you can go forward smoothly. For if you do not prepare, you will be caught unaware, and it will be, we assure you, most uncomfortable. Teach your children. Begin talking to them. Teach them about all the ways of being kind to earth. Perhaps take school trips, or just take your child out of school to have discussions, to listen how these indigenous people are living and why they live the way they live. Why have they chosen the actions that they have? And then you learn about a spirituality that is not separate from their lives, but incorporated. For what we see in this society among many, many peoples is those of you, those who believe in what this is, that a spirit can, in fact, speak through a person. There is an all too unfortunate common idea that oh, I am a spiritual person. Politics is negative. All these things, these are negative. Of course they are negative. They are awaiting your healing. Look, there is no point in spirituality if it does not bring greater love, greater joy, greater healing and togetherness to earth. What is the point? So when a religion is saying go to war, that would not be a proper religion. For this does not serve, it takes away. We do not subscribe to any religion, but many of you find comfort in religion. Very good. Make sure that it is coming from love. And even those, certainly in your country where Christianity is so prevalent, it is not always benevolent, as you know. And some of you are sitting here now thinking, oh, not in my church. My church is magnificent. We suggest you look a little closer, for there is a great deal of misogyny, in your Christian church, in your Christian thinking. So this is something that you can begin to dissect. You can talk amongst yourself. What exactly is feminism? What exactly are we doing, and why have we allowed ourselves to be relegated to these rows of baking cupcakes for PTA? You can do a good bit more than that, and have proven this again and again and again. you are still being treated as though you are the kept housewives who have nothing but time on your hand to serve the needs of everyone else, when your lives have moved on from this more than 50 years ago. Start making demands for the treatment that is appropriately respectful of what you have achieved despite being pushed around and shut down and diminished at every turn. You are amazing. You are quite magnificent. This is why it is on your shoulders to heal the world. No pressure. You can do this, and you can do this with joy, and this will bring you purpose and fulfillment and excitement and achievement. You will not want to stop these times ever. But even the young ones now, the teenagers of today, they will not even see the fulfillment. But indeed, they will participate. And as you raise your children, as you raise your boys to pay attention more to women, to be more respectful of females in all the ways, and show them all the things that women do. And gratitude is very useful. Yours for your life. Teach your children to be grateful for every meal they have. We do not mean, oh, these poor people in the Sudan have nothing to eat. We do not mean this. We mean speaking to them of their privilege to have 3 meals a day, of their privilege to be in a warm house in the winter and a cool one in the summer, their privilege to be educated. This is rare in this world. Your society is so profoundly fortunate that it is time now to share, bring the rest of the world up. And if you need to compromise and lose some of your privileges, why not? Why not? Lead with love. The result will be a world that is much more respectful, much fewer wars, though there will always be trouble spots on your planet. This is the nature of a violent species, which you humans are. And we have been as well, so we understand your nature, and we have compassion for your fears, for your blindness, for your desires to be of service, for your desire to see a better world. And it is this desire that tells you that you are the ones to build a better world. For if not you, then who? We cannot do it. We do not have a body. Those in power will not do it. They are too busy gaining more power and more money. They do not know you, nor do they want to, and so on. So we are repeating ourselves here. Speak to us. What are your questions? Sunscreen, yes. You have a question about sunscreen.
How potent does it need to be?
As strong as you can get. If you can get 50, wear this. And wear hats as well. For without any protection from these ultraviolet rays, this will be bad. But it will also be temporary. It is not as though, oh, the magnetic field is thinning and it will be thin forever. No, it is organic and it moves just the way your auras do. You can think of this as the Earth's aura. And as it thins, these dangerous rays from the sun come in and can harm. So minimize your sun time and use good sunscreen. Do not worry about the chemicals. This is the least of it. So you are concerned about women and other groups being attacked by these right-wing and violent peoples. Yes. They cannot attack you if they do not know what you are doing. And this is why we have, exactly why we have recommended that until you are strong, do not go public with what you are doing. Think of yourself as a tiny little shoot coming up from the earth in the spring. And with heavy rain and strong winds, you must protect this little shoot. So you put a bell jar over this until the roots have gone deeper and the stem has fattened up and it can withstand the storm. So this is the metaphor for what you are doing now. And when there is no conflict, you need not worry about these kinds of attacks. These people have won. These people are rooted in fear, which is why they fight and why they feel they need to fight. Certainly not all of them. The leadership has no fear. But the reason they have followers is because they have created and deepened the fears of their followers so they are easy to manipulate and control. Machiavelli. Textbook example. So learn to see what you're looking at. And when you understand what is behind the behaviors of these groups and the government as well, you will be able to see quickly and respond appropriately, generally by going dark. It is not heroic in these times to be a target. It says nothing except that you will be the target. We have been looking at this in terms of your World War II, this government of Germany, and what these Nazi fellows have done, and how they have shut people down. Study this. This is what the effort will be, but it will not succeed because people are different now. You are a different culture. You are a different economy. For people then were quite hungry and desperate. And yes, you have people who have been trained to be fearful, but this will soften in time. And what we are looking at now for the next some years is these people will be here. They will be here. Their power will wane as they begin to wake up little by little. This is farther down the road. Look, your culture has not yet recovered from your Ronald Reagan. This is how dire these times are and how long-lasting they can be. Make no mistake, this is an important time. And what you do, turn away from the politics for now until you are strong. You need to grow roots. You need to become. You need to create your communities. And then when you are strong, you can go in very gently. We are 3,000 women here, and we would like whatever it is you would like. We are all voters in your town. We are half the women in your town, and this is what we want. And if we cannot have this, and we'll put it on the ballot. And if you refuse to put it on the ballot, we will put ourselves on the ballot, and so on. Organize and push and push and push. Do not allow yourselves to become defeated. Whenever there is a problem, whenever someone is complaining about the problem, you ask the right question. What are you doing to fix it? How can we solve this problem? How many people do we need to do this? So a different way of thinking, a different way of seeing your world, a different way of seeing your lives. For you can choose not to participate in this time. You will be lonely, you will be afraid, and you will not be enjoying yourself. When you are strong and you are in service, there is only joy, even for the setbacks. Have we answered your question sufficiently, dear one? So the question is that as souls reincarnate in both genders, is there any rhyme or reason to the power? This has been arranged by your society. This has been a group decision. So create another group to undecide this, to make a different decision. And we understand that this is not answering your question. Your question is more that...
I'm trying to form my question.
Yes, no, this is a very good question. For what we are seeing is you are wondering if there are people choosing to become male bodies in order to be the ones who are dominating and in power.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not always. There are, look, people will reincarnate in the bodies, in the gender, in the race, in the country, in the culture, that gives them the greatest opportunity to fulfill their promise and their agenda in this life walk. So that is the answer. And so women become men in order to experience this dynamic. And truly, this is all hormones. Marvelous young people are learning both at once in one life. There are many, many, many women in body now at this time who have been in Atlantis, who understand it is on them to save the world, and many men as well. There are any number of women, so common amongst you healers, where your healing has been disrupted in times past. You have all heard the stories of in these early Middle Ages time, healers were called witch and burned or expelled from society or beheaded. And this church coming in the early days, replacing the healers with their own in order to maintain dominance. So the church is even better at understanding power than Machiavelli. And this is another thing too that you can look at. It is very important that you begin to look at the dynamic of power and what makes this. What is the shape? What does this feel like? Does it have music? Does it have language? What is the energy of power? Even benign power can be difficult. So explore this and see what you think, see what you feel. Dearest darling child, we are overjoyed you are here. What you can do is ignore this. Donald Trump is nothing to you. What Donald Trump represents to you is the ability to go beneath, go around, go behind, and get strong. And so your generation, dearest child, will carry humanity forward like nobody else has in the past when they are like you. So you get together with your friends, with your girlfriends, and form your own group. Join Scoop Paper. Begin to start asking the questions in Scoop Paper. Oh, this will start conversation. And so you do not directly confront. This is old style. You let them have their opinions. You let them have your attitudes. You are busy over here in the next room, plotting and planning how to make the planet happy once again. And this is how you get your power. Not alone, in your groups. Make sense? Very good. It is your mother, dear one, who asked this magnificent question. Oh, you do not like the world? Oh, what are you doing to change it? This will always set people back and hopefully make them feel a little ashamed. For those who complain, need to grab a broom. Everyone at this time needs to grab a broom. Your world is a mess. So, you know this. Free the men from their yoke of all this trauma, of having to know everything and own everything and be everything. This is so unfair. So we have great compassion for this. And we have enormous regard for the men who have been able to have the strength to stay soft, to stay heart-centered, to care for their children, to support the women who are doing magnificent things. These are the kinds of men that you women need around you once you are perfectly confident. And then you learn from them and they learn from you. And then you begin to interact in an equal manner. Once you are strong, once you have your communities and your confidence is built and you know where you are headed and you know how you will get there, then you can begin to pull in the right fellow here and there. Someone who can teach you about beekeeping, someone who wants to learn about whatever it is you have that you can teach them. So humble fellows with respect. We have been most amused and delighted to engage in or eavesdrop on a conversation today amongst women about all the ways that men can dismiss a woman and shut her down. It can be very simple. It can be a look. It can be a raised eyebrow. It can be a, well. Just a noise out of the mouth can shut a woman down. Make a list. Why not? This is fun. Share this with your friends over a glass of wine, a big one, perhaps two, and have fun writing down all the ways you have been diminished in your life. This is not to be victim. This is not to grieve over. This is to laugh about. This is to, oh, look, I let him do this to me. This will never happen again. This shows learning. This shows growth. This is very good. And again, you will need those male allies who are everywhere. Coleman, are you here, young man?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Are you ready? We are grateful. Very good. We know you are ready. Children who are coming in at this time are coming in 100% of the time to serve this time. So treat your children with great respect and your grandchildren with great respect, for their jobs will not be easy, but if you train them, it will be joyful. If they understand about community, if they understand they cannot achieve alone. Therefore, you find your group. They are out there already. Many gains are being made. Look, 30 years ago, you would not have had a black president, for example. Impossible. Apparently, you're still not ready for lady president. This will come. This will come. But as we have said in the beginning, this is not even the issue at this time. It is alarming. It reveals the depth of fear in your country. Look, these storms have a lot to do with this. They are destabilizing. People are killed, homes are swept away, damage, and all. This is very frightening for where will the next storm hit? No one knows. No one knows. So you feel destabilized here in your country, and this gives rise to movements and elections like the one you have been looking at. Although we did not see it. Very few of us had any idea that this fellow would win. We have seen the opposite. So even those of us who are not in body and have, oh, this marvelous view, we too can be wrong. And this is a very good question about election in 4 years. There will certainly be attempts to eradicate this. We're looking at your country and the world in the bigger picture from a distance of some hundreds of years. Everything is fine. So what we see is you will achieve. We see ultimately that United States is two countries, but not for some time yet. And it will make sense, as it makes sense to you even thinking about this idea today. It's like, oh yes, we see this. There are these people over here who are entirely different species from people over here. Perhaps 30 years, perhaps longer. We cannot see, the future is not written in stone. We see the trends. We see, if you stay on the path, we see what will happen. But the future is mutable. It has to do with each of you and your free will, which is a very real thing, and how you choose to approach these times. In service to healing or in service to conflict, because truly, these are your choices. And in service to conflict right now, this serves no one, and this achieves nothing but more conflict. So those of you who are used to marching and demonstrating and rallying, put this down in this administration, in this time, this will only target you. This will only get you on a list you do not want to be on. So we will say once again, this is the time to go underground, gather your resources, gather together, find your confidence, imagine your future, and create it. Step by step. And we suggest you write this down so that as visions change, you will have a record of this. This is a remarkable time on your planet, absolutely remarkable. Very rare. It has happened before, but not to this scale. And last time there was post-shift. There certainly was not technology, and there were not so many people walking around your earth. So this will cause tremendous fear, but we want to reassure you there is absolutely nothing to fear. You wear your sunscreen, know that the weather will be seriously destabilized for a few years, but then it will calm down again, even if nothing is done to address climate change. We do not necessarily like to admit this, but there is no effort to affect climate change in any case at this moment by your leadership. So this is something that must be pushed from below, from the people. So this is on you to do. So those of you, regardless of your age, where you understand that climate change is #1 problem, you can get together, whether you are planting trees or cleaning waterways or whatever. This is magnificent. Every effort matters. You can take 1 grain of sand away from the beach, and wow, that beach still looks the same. It is different. It is different. You are all connected. So this is a marvelous question. You are asking if in this time of extreme polarization, is it even worth the effort to try and bridge the gap? Have we got this correct?
Yeah.
The answer is no. It is too raw. It is too fraught. These people, there is no possibility for healing at this time, which is exactly the perfect time for you to go underground and do the work you need to do before you begin to bridge the gap. When it is time, you will know. But also understand that in this time, when you women are forming your circles and your groups, that the time that this takes, things are still occurring in your world. Plans are breaking down, coup attempts are being foiled, People are becoming disgruntled because they were lied to. So things will soften on their own, dear one, believe us. And then when you are ready with your groups and your confidence and your imagination and your plans and your goals, there will be those who will join you. So this is the time for acting in this organic way. This is not the time to be a David to the Goliath or to go fight someone. You would not win. They are much more organized than you are. And it is not necessary to fight them in any case. So this is heartening. Do your work and everyone else will come on board, because as you women form your circles and make your magic, there will be those who all of a sudden, oh look, there is a garden. Oh, perhaps we can have a plot too. And before you know it, there are 5 gardens, and so on. So simply do good works. They will continue to expand. Ripple effect. Make sense? So what we have heard is your question is about how does one transform fear? This is a marvelous question. We honor you for this. Fear dissipates on its own, or there is nothing to feed on. The sky is falling, the sky is falling. Oh, I am terrified. And then when you run and run and run until you are out of breath and you must stop, you realize actually the sky is not falling at all. Fear has a short life, as long as you do not feed it. So, oh, this man, this president, he's going to kill us all and take everybody's rights and become a Nazi, and he might. But we do not see that that will be successful, because there are too many people in positions of power who will not allow this to happen. We are using this hand to look for water. The body needs water. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ah, better. We do not miss having a body at all. Oh, when you join us where we are, you will be free. Colors are everywhere that cannot be seen by the human eye. Scents, you can be places at the speed of thought. You think Egypt, you are part of, on top of the pyramid. You think Venus, you are in the midst of the planet. It is marvelous being home. So we will not gloat, for you are of enormous importance to the well-being of this planet. We cannot stress this enough. Do not underestimate your importance, every single one of you, male and female. Those of you who are here to serve this time know it. Hopefully we have given you enough ideas in this evening and enough understanding that you can go forward with at least some thought. But do not delay. We need your action. Thought is a good beginning, but if it ends with a thought, nothing changes. You must have physical action on your planet. And also understand that when you are part of a network, when communication goes down, you will be in much better shape than others. There is no reason not to have community. And we mean this in a way that is much more than simply having your friends. as important as your friends and family are, you need to have the focus, the understanding that this is a dire moment, and now, going forward, this is what you do. You roll up your sleeves. You do what you are called to do where you are called to do it. And not everybody will be called to be part of a circle, not at first, for they will not be able to have the imagination. They will not be able to understand. They do not yet have the consciousness. Everyone here in this room has the consciousness. And you have, yes, you have already taken action. So we are speaking to the right group. Anything that is a distraction can be a tool. It depends on the person using it and their motivation. So it will depend on the child. But children at this age, these young people, they have great passion. They know innately what is right and what is wrong, what is harmful and what is beneficial. And as they get excited about serving this time in whatever way they are choosing, there will be more jumping on board. We do not worry about this at all. And as we say, when the magnetic field thins, smartphones will not do them any good in any case. Perhaps they will help you weed your garden. This is a very tragic story. There is no time on your earth where human beings have not created great suffering for other human beings. So this is a very unfortunate situation, and you can always create a safe house for one room perhaps for a family or one person or two people. You have your connections. And this is what we mean by making underground railroad. And there will be, not just for pregnant women and transgendered people, but also for anyone who is not white male may need this help. So for the immigrants, and yes, they are largely a very humble, beautiful people who only want their children to be safe. And this is heartbreaking to look at what they suffer. Include them in your circle, for they have information you need. They know. They are coming from the old ways. There is much they can teach you. And if anyone is making false papers, very good. We commend you. Have we answered your question sufficiently?
Yeah.
Very good.
I have another question.
We have one more thing to add to this. While the words are there, while the threat of deportation of every immigrant is there, it is also a truism that these people are necessary for the kinds of work that no one else will do. So if people want to eat, they need to have migrant labor. Simple as that. So it is not as dire as you fear, but they do need protection. We do not recommend that you lobby for something like a sanctuary state, for this only makes you a target, once again, for these people who find themselves in power. You want to be as invisible as possible. This is the way to survive. Oh, if you want to do your demonstrations and your marches, absolutely. But do not let them know what you are doing in your communities and in your circles until you are strong and until you have allies. Because if you do this properly, the outcome will be one day they will wake up and realize that they have no support, that they are done, that this has happened while they have been sleeping, while they have not been looking. Women have formed, have manifested, and have achieved. This will be incremental, but there will be bursts of activity like now. in these early days of trying to figure out how to survive this world now. For this is what you are looking at. Be creative. Do not mimic what has already been done, unless it is the old ways. For know this about the old ways. Those people are still alive. Against all odds, they still have their wisdom. They know what they are doing. And it is only the might of force that has pushed them off to the edges. They have wisdom you need. Tap into it. Do this humbly, with gratitude, and be honored when they share their great generosity with you. Further questions? This is a marvelous question. The question here is referring to the earlier conversation about traumatized men and how we can help to heal them. Is it better for women to try and do this or for men? We would like to very much see men's groups, for as men cannot understand all the inner workings of a woman, neither can a woman understand all the inner workings of a man. So there have been men's groups. They generally ended up in spontaneous games of touch football, but why not resurrect them again? Men are isolated too. Men are very isolated, and this is very unfortunate. Men, those of you, and there are so many of you who have so much to offer, but because you are tied to jobs that suck your soul, or roles that are not in any way suited to you, or whatever, good heavens, the list is so long. So yes, when men can throw off the shackles of the damage that power has done to them, you will find them flocking to your ideas, to your circles, and helping in the marvelous ways that they can. So, well, it needs to be at least separate for a little while until you are certain of who your group is and how it functions. Because until you do, if you open the door too soon, men will come in wanting to be helpful and take over. This is knee-jerk response. They cannot help themselves. They want to be of service. And this is done from a place of heart. But you cannot allow this. You need to find your strength. You need to find your power. You need to find your protection and your service. So yes, be concerned about the men, and to the men in your life, have these conversations. Support them in the ways that serve the world, as well as them. Men need to be served too. We are not talking about power and greed. This is too obvious. This is the lowest hanging fruit, and this is what men are urged to pursue. What is a successful man? This is someone who is considered powerful and wealthy. This could be an idiot, but powerful and wealthy, oh, this is a very successful man. So help men get rid of these ideas. They do not need to live up to these notions that are so false, that have nothing to do with any truth. And it helps to free them. If your boy wants to be a poet, support him. If he wants to go to Africa and feed elephants, support him. This is important work. If he wants to be beach bum, how do you think these marvelous Jacques Cousteau started out? He was beach bum. So yes, when you can encourage passion in yourself and your children, this is the best way to begin. Find others with like passion and go forward. So the question here is about how does one overcome the disinformation campaigns?
All over the world.
All over the world. This is overcome by people speaking to each other, neighbors speaking to neighbors, friends speaking to friends. The people who believe in most of these conspiracy theories and misinformations, they are in isolation. And they are getting their information from your Fox News or whatever they are looking at. And these are the only sources they are looking at, which is why they believe this. It would be much better if they were simply confused. But sadly, they are not confused. They are quite sure they understand the truth. And so the way that you do this, there needs to be laws against false information. Lying at the official level should be illegal. It is not. Anyone can do this. So this belongs in the category of laws that need to be passed. You will not have any success over the next 4 years, certainly, so don't bother. But you communicate. Belief is a choice. This is a powerful fact. So good for you then to begin to scroll through your beliefs and see how relevant they may be to today's reality, which is the future reality. And we are not speaking necessarily politically, though certainly this will be with you now for some time. But we are speaking in the bigger picture in the longer term of life on earth, good heavens. So much more important than one foolish man, regardless of the damage he can potentially do, and he can. But you can circumvent all this by walking carefully, quietly, and invisibly. What we see as we look around your culture is knowing the history, and we have started this conversation here with you by speaking of the two groups that have actually thrived the most while being completely shut out. And this is Native American peoples and African American peoples. Two very different realities, but in many ways very similar. So as the Native Americans then have maintained their culture, because in isolation this was their culture. What else did they know? African American community, they still have their owed knowledge to a great degree. But what they have, because of 400 years of suffering, of being shut out and shut away and shut down, is a generosity of spirit that we do not see anywhere else, except in times of disaster. So for the African American community, every day is the disaster. There is so much support and generosity, standing shoulder to shoulder, working together. And when you look around this country and you look at all these young people forming groups that are achieving so much, most of them are solidly young Black women. Talk to them. They have much to teach you and will do so with great joy. So they understand better than anybody about this idea of ally. You need to support each other as well as yourselves. Reach out past your comfort zone of those you know or those you are worried about, and reach into communities also that you are perhaps uncomfortable with. For this will teach you, and you will make new friends here, and this will make you stronger. The word of the day is love. This is the way you heal your world. And certainly, such a large word. There are endless expressions of this. You will find your way. We need to know what time it is, please, for we are not allowed to be here all night.
8:19.
Very good. Very good. We are almost there. So we will take a few more questions before we say good evening. Does anybody feel as though this is not possible, what we have been speaking about? Does anybody here feel as though this has been useful to going forward?
Yes. Yeah.
Is there any way that we can be of more service in the moment? You want to be of service, you have a job you love, but it is eating you from the inside out. There is good news, dear one. There is also a movement by these young, rather spoiled tech workers who are starting for a 4-day work week. Hallelujah. Yes, so support them. They will not support you, but it will get the job done. And then you will have 4 days as well. This is coming. So, but we love the way you think. So you are concerned then that simply the wherewithal, the money, the scratch is not there. And you are certainly not alone in this. Life is expensive, it is fraught. There are very few people who are joyful about the price of groceries. So unfortunately, this is not something that has a quick fix. Do what we have talked to you about. We are deeply thrilled that you are motivated and inspired. This will fix everything, we promise you. Get together in your groups, and then you can start working together. You need to make the same amount of money with less hours to do it in, so that, yes, you can have life balance. This is something that is very important to almost everyone, though almost no one speaks of this. So thank you for bringing this up. There needs to be pleasure, there needs to be joy, and certainly why you find this with your friends and your circles and your groups. It will be exponentially more so when you are doing this with the shared goal of making a better world. And this is part of it, certainly. Having a quality of life and being willing to have less. And this is the sticky part. Most people do not enjoy the idea of having less. And many people will not have less. They will not be happy, but they will not have less. So you will each one find your balance point within your own lives, depending on your lights, your needs, how much you like shoes, so on. Dear one, we love the way you are thinking. We do not have the answer, but perhaps you will by Tuesday. So keep thinking along these ways. Does there always have to be a trade-off? Does there always have to be sacrifice? From what we have seen, initially, this is what we have observed. Does it mean it always needs to be this way going forward? Certainly not. Figure out the secret, dear one. This is your task. No burden here. Marvelous. So each of you is of tremendous importance to life on the planet. This sounds ridiculous, but when you look at it in the arc of 100 years, when you understand how the old peoples, the indigenous peoples, the traditional peoples have always honored so deeply their ancestors because they understand continuity. They understand that what happened 50 years ago helps them to prepare to gift the next 50 years. We cannot stress this enough. Look to the poor, the disenfranchised. They are the wisdom keepers. They are very clever. They have many secrets. You are each one of tremendous importance. We are deeply honored at your effort and expense to attend this evening with us. You make our heart glow with gratitude and pride in who you are. You have done tremendous work. We rely on you, and we are at your service, as are your spirits who surround you. When you meditate, when you learn to still the mind, this is when you are able to hear the whispers of God and those in spirit who attend you. They will not speak to you until there is the need for action, for they speak to you on the eve of your taking action, as in, turn left now. Gather your friends now. And then farther down the road, time for something else, and you will get it. This is how we have worked with our vehicle here. She has no idea. We come in, we tell her, get your clothes clean, you are traveling now, and so on. So when there is a message, it comes in the moment to be given in the moment because it lives in the moment. This is not a message for last week, nor is this a message for next year. This is a message for now. Tighten your belts. It will be an interesting time. Write about it, speak about it, prepare for it. We honor you. We give you our love. We give you our many blessings and our deepest gratitude.